Okay, it is Tuesday. This is, week 11, and we are on day 21 of programming logic. Talking about sequential files, programming work. Let's take a look at some of these items. Details. I notice the students need to pay closer attention to details when they're doing their coding work. Some of the work you should have your final and have it peer reviewed and ready to go. So these should be at that point. We should be able to take any of these and look at your final code and should be good. I gave back sheets on A7, so that should be good in another few days. A8, we did some work with lists and directories. You did a little report. We have a quiz on that on Thursday. And you're currently working on A9 through A10, A9 and A10. And also, we would like to get this done, dealing with modules, have that all done by Thanksgiving. Okay? Thursday we'll take a look at the assignments too, where we're at. We've already covered modules, and today we covered sequential files. Let's take a look. This is a repeat of what I just had. Talk about opening the file, create, read, append, and close the file. I could mention here though, this is important so that you don't have two people in the file at the same time. That can create some issues. So there's a process known where the file is locked when somebody opens it, unlocked when they close it. So that maybe helps you better understand why to do those things. We did an example in Python, like for this. You can read this into a variable, and then there's a function called the slice. Okay, that will take that and divide that up. We'll look more at that later on. Okay, so we talk about a file. Okay, so in here we've got some stuff I could erase. Let me erase a little bit of this. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, so we have an example of a record. Let's just take a look at this. A record. Each one of these would be a record. Okay, and then when you put all these records together, typically we get something called a file. And this is a sequential file. The records all flow from top to bottom. I talked about then you can open a file to create, read, or append. When you open a file, they're usually locked. The file gets locked, so two people can't be in the file at the same time and mess it up. Okay. Then we close a file, then allows other people to use the file. We'll be doing some nice examples with this here as we finish up the course. So we did an example here. Yeah, let me take a look here. Some of this might be a little hard to see, so let me highlight some parts. This is just the name up here, name the file, and then we created a list, and then this line we open a file. This F, it's a little hard to see that, let me undo that. This F is just a placeholder. It's like a variable. You could use whatever we want. We use F, and then we opened this file. Then we read a line from the file, and while that line has something in it not equal to 0, we can do a split on that. And what it does, that file, that pay list file is what I just showed on the other one. It had the name, the hours, and the wage. So it splits those and it puts them in a list. Okay, so that happens right here. It sees the space and it puts it into a list. Then in this example we printed the list and then we did some work on the list. The list had the name, the wage, and the hours. Okay, name, wage, hours. So then we took those values out of the list, did our calculations, printed the whole list. Here's the calculations, I should say. We assigned those variables, did the calculations, printed the pay, then we read the next line from the list, which then took us from here, it's a while statement back up here. So it kept reading these lines from the file dot read line, get it? It's the same thing up here, file dot read line. So it reads the next line from that file, and the reason the F works is because it here, rather than use this name, we can use a reference to that name, and we open the file. And we didn't indicate how we open the file, and so that's assumed we open it to read. Okay? So our loop goes until, right? So this becomes false. There isn't anything in there. The length of the line is 0. And then we come down, we close the file, and this line actually closes it. F.close. Then we print, we're done. Okay, we talked about today. We did another day on learning. We talked about change, being open to change. We reviewed briefly grit and the growth mindset. And then we had a video by Dan Pink talking about drive. He talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose in what we do. And then the students, after they listened to the video, they discussed some of the things from the video. And so we had, I'm not going to repeat all the discussion here, but we had really good discussion. They talked a little bit about money not being everything. They talked about the old methods and how we need to change. They talked about having freedom in our work in order to be creative. All right. And if you do a search on Dan Pink, you can find lots of information. I have read his book, Drive. It's good. It's a good read. All right. And that is it for today. We are continuing to work on our assignments, and we have a quiz on Thursday. That's it.